It now remains to show that God likewise knows evils. When a good is known, the opposite evil is known. But God knows all particular goods, to which evils are opposed. Therefore, God knows evils. Furthermore, the notions of contraries are themselves not contraries in the soul, otherwise, they would not be in the soul together nor would they be known together. The notion, therefore, by which evil is known is not opposed to the good but belongs, rather, to the notion of the good. Hence, if all the notions of goodness are found in God because of his absolute perfection, as was proved above, it follows that there is in him the notion by which evil is known. And thus God also knows evils. Again, the true is the good of the intellect. For an intellect is said to be good because it knows the true. But it is true not only that the good is good but also that evil is evil, for just as it is true that that which is, so it is true that that which is not is not. The good of the intellect, therefore, also consists in the knowledge of evil. But, since the divine intellect is perfect in goodness, no intellectual perfection can be lacking to it. Therefore, it has a knowledge of evils. Moreover, as was shown above, the ultimate end for which God wills all things in no way depends on the things that exist for the sake of the end, and this either as to being or as to some perfection. Hence, he does not will to give to someone his goodness so that thereby something may accrue to himself, but because for him to make such a gift befits him as the fount of goodness. But to give something not for the sake of some benefit expected from the giving, but because of the goodness and befittingness of the giving, is an act of liberality, as appears from the Philosopher in Ethics 4. God, therefore, is supremely liberal, and, as Avicenna says, he alone can truly be called liberal, for every agent other than God acquires some good from his action, which is the intended end. Scripture sets forth this liberality of God, saying in a psalm, "When you open your hand, they shall all be filled with good," and in James, "Who gives to all men abundantly without reproaching." Again, all things that receive being from God must bear his likeness in so far as they are good, and have their proper models in the divine intellect, as was shown above. But it belongs to the virtue of truth, as appears from the Philosopher in Ethics 4, for someone in his deeds and words to show himself such as he is. Therefore, there is in God the virtue of truth. Hence, Romans, "But God is true," and the Psalm, "All your ways are truth." But, if there are any virtues that deal with notions belonging to subordinates in relation to their superiors, such cannot befit God, for example, obedience, worship, or something of the sort that is due a superior. If, furthermore, some of the aforementioned virtues have certain imperfect acts, the virtues in question cannot be attributed to God according to those acts. Thus, prudence, according to the act of taking good counsel, does not befit God. For, since counsel is a certain inquiry, as is said in Ethics vi, and the divine knowledge is not inquiring, as was shown above, to take counsel cannot befit God. Hence Job, "How you have counseled him who has no wisdom," and Isaiah, "Whom has he consulted, and who has instructed him?" But as to the act that consists in judging the matter of counsel and choosing what has been approved, nothing prevents prudence from being said of God. Nevertheless, counsel is at times said of God. This is either because of the likeness in privacy, since counsels take place in private, so that what is hidden in the divine wisdom is called by likeness counsel, as appears in Isaiah in the other version, "May your ancient counsel be verified," or in so far as he gives satisfaction to those who seek his counsel, since one who has understanding can, even without any discursiveness, instruct the inquiring. In the same way, justice, as concerns the act of commutative justice, cannot befit God, since he does not receive anything from anyone. Hence Romans, "Who hath first given to him and recompense shall be made him," and Job, "Who hath given me before that I should repay him." Through a likeness, however, we are said to give some things to God in so far as God looks with favor upon our gifts. Commutative justice, therefore, does not befit God, but only distributive. Hence, Dionysius says that God is praised for his justice as giving to all according to their worth. And in the words of Matthew, he gave to every one according to his proper ability. We must observe, however, that the actions with which the above virtues deal, do not according to their natures depend on man, for to judge of the things that are to be done, or to give or distribute something, does not belong to men alone but to any being possessing an intellect. Yet, insofar as these are narrowed to the human sphere, in a manner they receive their species from them, as the curvature in a nose produces the species of the snub. The aforementioned virtues, therefore, according as they order man's active life, are ordered to these actions insofar as they are narrowed to human affairs and take their species from them. In this manner they cannot befit God. But insofar as the aforementioned actions are taken in their generality, they can be attributed even to divine things. For just as man is a distributor of human goods, such as money and honor, so too God is the distributor of all the goods of the universe. The aforementioned virtues, therefore, are of a more universal extension in God than in man, for as the justice of man is to the community or the household, so the justice of God is to the whole universe. Hence, the divine virtues are said to be the exemplar virtues of ours, for the things that are contracted and particularized are the likenesses of certain absolute beings, just as the light of a candle is to the light of the sun. As for the other virtues, which do not properly befit God, they do not have an exemplar in the divine nature, but only in the divine wisdom, which contains the proper likenesses of all beings. This is the case with other corporeal beings,